Lord Jurek gazed out at the slowly descending ships. He always looked forward to the arrival of a new species. There were always quirks, strengths and weaknesses, often surprising ones. He prided himself on his ability to identify them quickly and efficiently. Of course, that was why he was the one in charge. "What were these ones again?" he asked. Clun, his assistant, looked down at his notes. "Humans, my lord. The report says that they put up quite the fight. Troublemakers, most likely. I hope we can make some use of them. Extermination always seems such a waste of good labor." Jurek said nothing in reply. In truth, he quite liked troublemakers. It only made it more satisfying when he broke them. That was what this world was for, after all. Take in the fresh conquests, test their abilities and willingness to conform, and then ship them off to wherever they could serve best. If that failed, well, the furnaces could always use some fuel. They really were a sorry-looking lot. Dirty, pale and terrified. The guards had done their best to get them to line up, but the way they were arranged would be more accurately described as a huddle in ranks. True, the journey from their homeworld had taken several weeks, even at FTL speeds. And they had been kept in the cramped holds of the slave ships for the whole journey. But even so, he would have expected them to have made at least some attempt to keep themselves clean. No matter. Of course, there wasn't much awaiting them in their futures, but more dirt anyway. "Send them to the mines," Jurek ordered. That was the normal procedure. They weren't to be trusted with tools yet, of course, and digging by hand was a backbreaking task. That was the point. Once they had been in the mines, any species would see their next assigned task as a gift. The glowing star of Kira gradually slipped down over the horizon, leaving the landscape bathed in the red glow of its sister star, which would not be setting for another couple of hours. Jurek watched the slaves trudge back to their meager dwellings, paying special attention to the newcomers. The humans looked tired, but were still standing. They were tough, he would give them that. He heard the door swish open behind him. "Ah, Clun." Jurek sipped his gulic juice, the revitalizing liquor helping restore his tired senses. The days here were long, even for those that didn't have to spend them in grueling manual labor. "Do you have the day's report?" "Of course, my lord," Clun replied. "We made good progress into the crystal vein in the second shaft and broke into a new cavern in the third, with some very promising new veins to work on." "And what of our new guests?" "I've been surprised, honestly." Clun shook his head. "From the military reports, I was expecting some resistance, but in fact they were hard workers and didn't give the guards any trouble." Jurek snorted. "So much for that. They are like herd animals. They might fight you at first, but once you've shown them who's in charge, they fall right into line. I can see it now." Clun began to say something, but then hesitated. Jurek turned to face him. "There's more, isn't there? Well, spit it out." "I wasn't sure if this was worth bringing to your attention, my lord. But there was a cave-in the tunnels. Someone got trapped in the rubble. I don't care about losing a slave. Did it block off anything of value?" "No, my lord. But it wasn't a slave that got trapped. It was one of the guards. He was trapped from the waist down, and..." Clun shifted uneasily. He dropped his gun. "One of the slaves got a hold of it." "I see." Jurek sighed. Now, he would have to write a letter home to the guard's widow. He hated doing paperwork. "Well, have the slave executed then. It will make a good example to the others." "No sir, you don't understand." Clun chittered nervously. "She didn't shoot the guard. She shot the rock, the one that was holding him down. The guard is fine. Well, alive at least. He's in the infirmary now. Now, that was something that Jurek hadn't been expecting. You mean to tell me that with one of her captors helpless at her feet, not only did she not finish the job, but she actually tried to save him? Something about the whole situation intrigued him. Usually, he kept his distance from his wards, but in this case. Bring her to me. I would like to meet this female. The creature sprawled in front of him didn't look much like a hero. She was small, even compared to the other humans. Perhaps this was what marked her out as a female. Does she have a name? Emma, the creature replied. Jurek took a step back. You speak our language? Little, Emma replied falteringly. Listen, from guards. On Earth. On Earth I speak many languages. My job. Translation. Impressive. Learning the true tongue so quickly was unexpected from a lesser species. But that wasn't why he had wanted to meet her. Tell me, why did you save the guard? I doubt anyone would have blamed you for getting some revenge. Not that would have saved her from incineration if she had, of course. Emma paused. There is word. From Earth. I'm not sure you have word. We call it humanity. I could not kill while trapped. Humanity. Jurek tested out the word. Like the name of your species. Odd. He paused for a moment and thought. Well, did you expect some payment for this? Humanity. If it is freedom you seek, then I'm afraid. No freedom. Just, we know we are beaten. Just want to live. We serve now. Only wish to serve. We can serve better with tools. Plum looked over to Jurek for approval. Could he really trust these humans with rock hammers so quickly? But if this one had been harmless even with a plasma rifle. Tomorrow, let a few humans loose with rock hammers. Just a select few, those that the guards say, have been particularly compliant. Any problems, any at all, and they'll be back to shoveling by hand. Understand? Of course. Emma prostrated herself in front of him. Thank you, my lord. I will tell the others of your magnificence and generosity. No, you will not. Jurek's spines rustled with mirth. If you want to serve, I can think of no better way to serve than to serve me directly. I've been wanting a house slave for some time now. But my lord, Klun protested, surely you cannot trust. I have made my decision, Jurek interrupted. If she can't kill a guard with a loaded gun in her hands, I don't see how she can be any threat to me while unarmed. Look at the size of her. Now, don't question my decisions in front of a lesser creature again, or you can have a rock hammer of your own. Of course, my lord. My apologies. Klun backed away submissively. Production is up by over 50% this past year. We haven't had an attempted revolt in months. They are intelligent, capable of operating all kinds of equipment, and most importantly, loyal. They even help keep the other slave races in line. Jurek flared his spikes proudly. All in all, I have to say, they are the perfect slave race. Frankly, I think they should be replacing the other races in all but the most specialized roles across the empire. The eyes around the table watched his presentation skeptically. Lord Neril spoke up first. This all sounds a little too neat, Lord Jurek. Isn't this the same species that kept General Sat's men tied up for 2 of the local years? I would argue that was only a demonstration of their great ability. I assure you that, since being defeated, they have become quite tame. Allow me to demonstrate. He raised his voice. Emma, come. The door slid open to reveal the human. No longer the impoverished slave, she was dressed in the finest Alat beast hide, the light reflecting resplendently off its reflective scales. She carried with her a tray of filled cups, her lips wide in an expression that she had told him was called a smile. "Greetings, my lords, would you care for some gullic juice?" As you can see, Emma here speaks the true tongue fluently. As he spoke, Emma made her way around the table, serving each of the amused lords their drinks. But she's so much more than just a waitress. I'm afraid that I had to let my old assistant go, for he was no longer needed. You will be pleased to hear that, in addition to the work slaves, I am sending you each a house slave as well. Hand-picked and trained by Emma herself. Believe me when I tell you that they will change your lives forever. Lord Jullick gazed out at the transports, slowly rising up into space. Soon, his slaves, his children, would be a common sight across the empire. He could see it now. A new golden age. Fueled by the labors of millions of humans in mines, factories, shipyards, and even in the homes of the lords themselves. And everyone would know who to thank for it. He stretched lazily. "Cancel my appointments for tomorrow, Emma. I think I've earned a lie-in." He settled down for the night and dreamt of prosperity and fame. A loud, deep crash awoke him from his slumber. The sky outside was red, but his clock told him that the suns were not due to rise for several hours. He dragged himself out of bed and stumbled over to the window. "Emma, bring me some gullic juice," he yelled. It looked like some chucket had managed to drive one of the heavy mining drills right through the walls of the slave compound. What were they even doing operating that at this time of night? It appeared to have hit a fuel pipeline, which was now belching flames, explaining the glow. Emma rushed into the room and handed him his cup. He downed it in a single gulp. He would need a clear head to deal with this disaster. Squinting out of the window, he could make out some shapes massing around the driller, spilling out of the slave pens. Were those humans? They were. Carrying mining drills, and some of them were even carrying guns. More flames began to rise from across the compound. The ships. He had sent them out. Told the others that they didn't need heavy security. He collapsed backwards into his chair. They would be traveling at several times the speed of light. No way for a transmission to beat them to their destinations. Millions of humans arriving at every mine, every factory, every shipyard, even the homes of the lords, them. His head snapped round towards Emma. She was gazing out at the chaos just as he had been. But on her face, was that a smile? Or maybe half a smile? He reached for the armrest to pull himself up, but his hand slipped against it uselessly, and he dropped back down. Something was wrong. He was feeling weak, more weak than could be explained by mere tiredness or shock. He began to feel something that he had not felt for a long time. Fear. He pulled the cup up towards his nose, despairing at how tiring such a simple action as lifting his arm was becoming. He sniffed. It smelled off. How had he not noticed that before? With the last of his strength, he flung the cup against the wall, for all the good that would do him now. Emma turned to face him, stepping in front of the chair, until her dark silhouette was outlined against the rising flames of the base behind her. "You know, I think you were right," she spoke in a tone that he hadn't heard her use before. "No longer submissive, but strong and brave. We did make pretty good slaves." She leaned over him, filling his fading vision. But if there's one thing that humans are really good at, it's deception. Author's name and the link to original text is in the description. Consider tapping the thumbs up and pressing the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video.